Good Friday morning, and this is the last time I get a chance to say this in 2023. It is a feel-good summer Friday. That's it. I'm going to say it throughout the show, but then it's over. No more feel-good summer Fridays, and the next time it's going to be a feel-good football Friday when we come back. So we're going to have a fun one today, despite the grayness and the rain. A feel-good summer Friday for the last time in 2023. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Gee, good. I will have a feel-good Friday next Friday with you on vacation.
That's right.
But for you, yeah, man, football.
This is it.
Right
Football.
around the corner.
Football right around the corner.
Thank God.
Is right. And if I had a dime for every time someone said, I'm ready for football season, I'm ready. Even my buddy Daniel down in the parking garage this morning, I'm ready. I can't do this anymore. I can't take it anymore. And I think everybody feels the same way about that. But it is amazing. This has to be probably the fastest summer I can ever remember. And I think it's a combination of a couple of things. One, I don't think I've ever been busier in my life. And two, the weather didn't get warm until like July. And it's just all of a sudden, it's bang, done.
The whole
That's
month
it.
of June has become, I don't want to say a complete waste, but you don't get great days.
No, you don't.
So the whole notion, like, growing up, it was like I would say you got to mid-April and you were excited. Here comes May. Yeah, May. Now it's like it's still cold.
May
rains.
I know. May is a total punt month at this point.
And June's a punt month.
I mean, June doesn't get warm until maybe at least like the 15th.
Yeah.
You might get something early on. So I used to always say you only get 2 months of good weather here, and I was a little bit kind of chopping it down because it was more like 4. But now it's like it's 2.
Well, and the other thing, too, that you talked about being so busy, part of that are the kids.
Yeah.
Like in the past, September could be a nice warm weather, and you could be busy, and you could be loading up on the boat and doing all sorts of things. Now it's like the kids are going to school, and it's just there's a lot going on after Labor Day.
Sabrina's got to go back to school. She has to.
Right.
It is, everybody loves their kids to death, but there comes a point where you got to go back. I mean, there's nothing else we can do for you now. We've entertained you as long as we could possibly entertain you, and she's just been acting up towards the end. I don't know if she's bored or what, or she just needs more stimulation from something. Now, we got a week at the beach next week, so she'll have that, but, I mean, she is just – Gina went out last night with a friend, and was just pushing it the whole night, just pushing it.
So you had a good time.
And I had to go into my deep dad demon voice. I had to do it.
Sorry.
And I gave her a chance. But what she was doing was she was deliberately messing with me because Summer's got this little shopping cart that she loves, a little 2-year-old. She runs around, pushes the shopping cart around, just takes stuff, puts in. It's the cutest little thing with a big smile on her face is what she does. So because Summer's enjoying that too much, Sabrina's got to come in and take the cart from her.
Oh.
So she does it once. Summer, I'm like, Sabrina, there's a million things to do. Why do you have to take the one thing that she likes, right? So then, whatever, settle down. She does it again. Sabrina, why are you doing that? Because I wanted to do it too. Okay, this is her little shopping cart. You got a million things you can do. You're the big girl. You're older, whatever. Don't do it again. Third time, she does it. Summer, I look over. Sabrina's got the cart. And there it was. Sabrina! And then she just, face goes up, eyes open. And she goes, Mommy! And then goes right to the window. Mommy, when's Mommy coming home? I said, Mommy would be just as pissed off at you as I am. But I had to do it.
Sounds like a hoot.
Yeah, when's Mommy coming home? Never.
Don't say that.
No, of course I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
All right, well, you got school right around the corner.
Yeah, yeah.
Along with football.
I got to tell you, it's even at 5 years old, they mess with you, these women. They just push you.
I don't have girls. I don't know.
They just push you. They want to know. They want to know, like, how far what can I do to break this man?
Wow. I guess. Like, I don't have girls. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, I see this news yesterday about Dwight Gooden and Daryl Strawberry. Their numbers are going to be retired next year. And I don't know, call me Mr. Cynical because I've been called
Mr. Cynical
many, many times. But be honest. If the Mets were in first place right now on their way to another 100-win season, you think that they would announce this today?
I do.
See, I disagree.
I think this is Steve Cohen. I mean, I was reading the thing, before he came in, they had 4 retired numbers. This will be 8 and 9. I think he's doing what Met fans have wanted.
Did they announce any retired numbers last year when they were on their way to winning a division before they choked it?
I do not remember.
They did not.
But they haven't even, there's no dates. It's next year.
I know, but this is what they did with Keith. So after that miserable season they had where the thumbs down and the Javi Baez and all that disaster, they announced after the season they were going to retire Keith. And then the year after, everybody's all wrapped up in the trumpets and in winning divisions, and then they didn't win the division and go into the playoffs, and not a single number was retired. Now this year they had one of the most embarrassing years in their history, and now they're going to retire 2 guys next year so they get some positive pub at the end of the year. It's like, look at the shiny object over here as the whole entire building is burning down over here. And that's just the way I feel. Like I don't think if they were battling the Braves in this past series and were both first and second place like they were last year, I don't think this would have happened. I think everybody would have been so focused on what was happening with the current state of the Mets as opposed to people in marketing going, this would be a perfect time to get a little feel-good feeling around this organization and retire these 2 numbers. And I don't know, man. I think the reason why I like the Keith retirement number was because he's been so involved twofold. Obviously, 86 Met, who was a leader, won a championship. And then for, what is it? We're talking almost
2 decades.
20 years now. It was 2006 that they started with SNY, and he'd been a part of stuff prior to that, too. We're talking 2 decades as a part of the broadcast team. He just means so much to the Met fan. But I don't get, like, the Daryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden thing, as great as they were in their primes, they're not legendary players for their entirety of their Mets career because it ended in such horrible ways in Mets uniforms for both of them.
And should have been better.
And they should have been better.
I agree. But it's still Doc and Daryl, and I hope Met fans tell me I'm wrong. I think most Met fans have wanted this.
No, I know they have, but for me, it doesn't. You can be in the Mets Hall of Fame, and you could be a guy who's at the top of mind when you're talking about Mets history without getting your number retired. And there's just a few really special players that I think get their numbers retired. And I don't think Doc and Daryl are those guys.
Okay.
Plus,
I do, but that's fine.
And neither one of them are Hall of Famers. Like you're talking about,
they're Met Hall of Famers, right?
Yeah, they're Met Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, listen, if that's your criteria, then they shouldn't be. Well, they shouldn't have their number retired,
right? But Keith's not in the Hall of Fame either. But I do think that it's a little bit different because of the broadcasting stuff. But if you think about, if you say Doc Gooden, Mets, is it the first thing that comes to mind the 1985 season, or is it some of the issues that he had and the fact that his career?
I think both. I absolutely think both. The way the career derailed, but I also think about those days in the summer when it was talking to your friends about, Doc's pitching tonight. You got to watch. It was must see. And I go back to those mid '80s, and it was unbelievable. Just thinking, Doc's pitching tonight. They're winning. How many strikeouts tonight?
Yeah, of course. And that was his. He took the country by storm. It wasn't even just the Mets. It was the entire baseball world. And Daryl Strawberry, he played, 7 seasons with the Mets?
And then was it 8?
8, I guess it was 83 to 90. Okay, so 8 8 seasons.
And should have been better. And he's, as he's one of my favorite players I've ever watched.
Yeah.
As many issues as he had. I'm not even joking. I used to look in the USA Today for the St. Paul Saints box scores.
Really?
And he was, yes.
Wow.
And he was there for that one summer. I was, for whatever reason, he was the lightning rod player for me. When he was up, I had to stop what I was doing. Don't know why. He had that effect on me, but I loved watching him. He was the player when the Dodgers came to Shea, first time in a Dodger uniform. Me and my buddy Mike Mulaney, tickets, car, go. We had to be there, and I missed his first stupid at bat because of parking issues getting in. But
wow.
I love the guy. When he was with the Giants for a very brief time, I would listen to, no joke, a radio out the window so I could get the Philly station when the Dodgers were playing.
That's crazy.
The Phillies. Yeah,
I knew you loved him. I didn't know it was that nuts.
Yeah, I really did. Into my teens and early 20s, and so I totally understand where you're going. I disagree, but I'm actually happy that these two are going in.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. I'm sure I'm happy for them, and Daryl's overcome a lot of stuff, and Doc's overcome a lot of stuff, and I just
I hope Doc has overcome.
I don't know. It was not one of those things when Steve Cohen took over the organization. Like, I know it was I've heard Joe Beningo talk about this and other Met fans. Like, that's something that needed to be corrected. I never felt that way about those guys. I mean, it felt like there should have been more there.
And you're right.
And they both ended up being Yankees afterwards.
And winning World Series.
Yes.
And throwing no-hitters.
I don't know. Everything changed. Like, the way you felt about those guys in their prime, or even, when Daryl wins Rookie of the Year and Doc wins that Cy Young, and they obviously in 1986, the way you felt about them then, it was like these guys will have their numbers retired. But then the way you felt about them in the late 90s.
Sure, oh yeah.
You weren't even thinking about
98, absolutely.
And here's another thing. I think that the Mets' futility through the years, since those guys were no longer in Met uniforms, drove this.
Well, of course. I mean, 86 drives it. They haven't won since.
But don't you think that if you're going to get your number retired, it has to be a timeless thing and not circumstantial? I mean, like, to me, if this team had won more championships throughout the years, or had even been better,
but it's not circumstantial.
Those guys
it's fact.
would be, but those guys wouldn't be looked at as special.
Okay, I mean, if Aaron Judge goes on to hit 60 home runs every year for the next 5 years, then Maris isn't looked at as special.
Well, that's different as far as that's a huge error gap. You know what I'm saying?
I understand,
like huge.
But I think to your point, the fact that the Mets haven't won illustrates how special those mid '80s were, and the fact that was a team that yes, they should have won 2 or 3, let alone the one, but they got the one, and you've seen now it's 2023. How difficult it's been to win it since. They had 2000 with the Yankees, the Subway Series. They had 2015 and a whole hell of a lot of nothing in between that. You had the collapse in was it 07 to 7 and 17?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had Wright and Reyes. You would have thought, and I think David Wright will probably be the next guy. I think, and I could be wrong about that, but there's not a lot of guys that won here and were drafted here. And yes, should have won more and probably should have played here longer. It's a very small field you're picking from. So you want to call it circumstantial, that's fine. I'll call it a fact. There are teams that have never won a World Series. There are teams that don't go to the playoffs. We're talking about Ohtani and Trout. The two guys been together for 5 years. They've never sniffed the playoffs together.
Yeah, but there's also, I mean, with baseball, it's very individual as well. I mean, there are guys like Mike Piazza represented an era of that team that I thought for sure, like there was no doubt in my mind that guy had to get his number retired. It just was, I mean, he did absolutely everything you wanted from his tenure as a Met. I mean, he gave you every bit of it.
Sure.
Until he tore the groin off his bone and ended up, that was really the end of him. But I don't know. I know how special they are in Mets history. One of my, coolest moments I ever had is when I was producing for Joe and Evan. I got to do those Buffalo Wild Wings shows. It was a promotion, and the guest was Doc Gooden. It was the coolest thing. I have a poster of me and him on it, and it's signed, and it was just because back then, those guys were as bigger than life for someone that was my age at the time, and I was even too young to really understand '86. But also, the first sports business memory, the first time that I ever had my stomach turn because of sports business was when Darryl Strawberry left. I remember that.
Oh, I remember too. I was sick to my stomach as well.
I remember that going what? The money and this, and don't you want to be a Met? And what the hell? I don't understand.
The press conference in L.A. was crushing.
Right. I just don't understand this. So I just have a different, the legacy that was left by those guys to me didn't warrant, it wasn't a lock to me that their numbers were going to be retired. And let me ask you this, Jacob deGrom's number going to get retired? Because it should.
That's a very good question.
Now the Doc's number is retired.
My guess would be yes in years to yes. I would.
It's going to have to
so.
be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have Doc's number retired, you got to have deGrom's number retired.
I think that's very possible.
Okay. I mean, if someone told me no in that answer, then I would have to fight him on it.
Yeah. No. I think it's possible, and you could as you can fight back against Doc and Daryl too. There's a lot of examples of these guys not being the best guys in the world and underachieving on the field because of their actions off the field. I can't argue any of that. That's 100% fact as well.
Yeah.
But to me, it's really one of the best periods in Mets.
Oh, it is
in the Mets history, and they were at the forefront of it.
But does it need to be validated with a number retirement? I guess
It doesn't need to be, but I have no issue that they did it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of people, I think, leading into this thing that this has to happen. This has to happen. This should have been. I even heard Peter Schwartz. This should have been done years ago. Really? Did it need to be? I mean, does now the '86 World Series feel more special to you?
As every year passes, yes.
Because not because the guy's numbers got retired.
No, but as years go by and you don't win, you realize, holy crap, it's hard to win.
Yeah.
And they've done it once. I mean, I'm 69, of course, but I'm just saying, in the last 40 years, they've done it once.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me, too, in the years that I spent in Pittsburgh where they got farther and farther away from their good teams. Mm-hmm. And it was like, enough of celebrating this stuff. We've had it now.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like something else to celebrate.
Right, but it's like I remember them saying, like, Bill Mazeroski, can we give it up already? Like, it was 1960.
Yeah, sure.
Like, can we do something? And then, obviously, they had 71 and the We Are Family Pirates that had that stuff, and they had the 90s, but no one looked back at that NLCS with the against the Braves and Sid Bream. Nobody really remembered that positively, but they would just always, it's like enough with the past already. And now the Mets have been to a couple World Series since. One was one of the worst experiences I've ever had watching the Mets lose to the Yankees, and I was in the building watching the Yankees celebrate at Shea. The other one I didn't really expect them to win in 2015. But it's like, how much more juice can we squeeze out of 1986?
Oh, they're going to
already?
keep squeezing. It's funny you mentioned that about 2000 and the 2015 team, because you almost forget that they went to the World Series in 2000 because of who it was against and the fact that you lost on your home field, and they got to celebrate with Eddie Schizzeri in the dugout watching and being sick to his stomach.
Yeah.
As opposed to 2015, that run that no one expected, and all of a sudden, yeah, the Royals beat them, but they gave you something that was kind of like out of left field. And it's you almost look at 2015 as better than 2000 because you want to forget 2000.
Yeah, and I had some amazing moments and amazing memories in that 2000 season.
Yeah,
I went to a ton of games that year. I mean, a regular season game was June 30th, 2000. It was fireworks night, and the Mets came back and had that 8-run 8th inning where they were down 10, or maybe it was a 10-run 8th inning. They were down 10-2 and then ended up taking a 12-10 lead. And Ricardo Alfonso had the hit down the third base line to tie it. Piazza hit the home run to take the lead. And the place was going crazy, and they blew off fireworks. It was Grucci fireworks, one of the coolest nights ever. The Benny Agbayani 10th inning home run against the Giants in the NLDS that year. The Bobby Jones one-hitter after that. Like, all those things. I loved all those moments I can remember. And even when I hear now today that Who Let the Dogs Out song, I'm like, yes. Like, it reminds me of that great moment. But then it ended with getting
horribly
punched in the face by Mike Tyson. I mean, that's what sucks about it. So,
you even had, it was a Piazza that hit the shot right to Bernie? That off the bat,
right?
You
Game
thought
5,
was out.
Yeah, Game 5. I
did. I'm watching on TV.
On TV, yes. And when I went back and saw it when I got home, I 100% agree. But I went to so many games in those same seats that year. It was right to the left of home plate in the mezzanine box. And what I would do, because right off the bat you don't really know, is I would go right to the outfielder.
To see where he's running to?
Yeah. And when I saw that, I was just like, nah.
He was just drifting.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm telling you, off the bat. I mean, I've seen that replay a million times, and it's still, especially the way that long, lumbering swing he had.
Well, how many home runs did you see that Piazza hit that looked just like that on TV?
Couldn't agree with you more.
Oh, man. Here we go, dredging up all the memories.
Yeah.
Dredging them all up this morning on this feel-good summer Friday. All right, we'll get Peter Schwartz in here in just a couple of minutes. It's Boomer and Gio with Jerry in for Boomer again on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.